Leg je voeten op, leg je voeten op, hop, leg je voeten op. Leg je voeten op, oh, leg je voeten op. Leg je voeten op, hop, leg je voeten op. Leg je voeten op, oh, leg je voeten op. En begin spring, spring, spring. Want liefde is een lied en jij moet zing, zing, zing. Oh, leg je voeten op en begin spring, spring, spring. Want liefde is een lied, kom laat ons zing. Het is tijd dat ons meer dankie zeggen voor alles wat ons heeft. En voor die schoen aan ons voeten en die kleren aan ons lijf en die kossies wat ons hier. En dank je voor die weg waarin ik elke dag mag rijden. Alles hier die plekse highways niet voor mij. Leg je voeten op en begin spring, spring, spring. Want liefde is een lied en jij moet zing, zing, zing. Oh, leg je voeten op en begin spring, spring, spring. Want liefde is een lied, kom laat ons zing. En dank je voor elke nieuwe dag wat ons mag zien. En voor je te van die zon wat schijnt door elke lieve in. En dank je voor die huis waarin ons woont hier in die stad. Al verlang ons naar die stilte van die veld of dank je zie. Leg je voeten op en begin spring, spring, spring. Want liefde is een lied en jij moet zing, zing, zing. Oh, leg je voeten op en begin spring, spring, spring. Want liefde is een lied, kom laat ons zing. Oh, die liefde is een lied, kom laat ons zing. Oh, die liefde is een lied, kom laat ons zing. Leg je voeten op, leg je voeten op, hop, leg je voeten op. Leg je voeten op, oh, leg je voeten op. Leg je voeten op, hop, leg je voeten op. Leg je voeten op, oh, leg je voeten op. En begin spring, spring, spring. Want die liefde is een lied en jij moet zing, zing, zing. Oh, leg je voeten op en begin spring, spring, spring. Want die liefde is een lied, kom laat ons zing. Oh, leg je voeten op en begin spring, spring, spring. Want die liefde is een lied en jij moet zing, zing, zing. Oh, leg je voeten op en begin spring, spring, spring. Want die liefde is een lied, kom laat ons zing. Oh, die liefde is een lied, kom laat ons zing. Oh, die liefde is een lied, kom laat ons zing. Oh, die liefde is een lied, kom laat ons zing. Laat ons zing.
Going to my mind's going blank now. What's happening? What, I can't remember. I'm gonna lose track. My mind's going blank now. What are you talking about? What the hell's going on here? Where the hell are we? My mind's going blank now. I can't remember. I don't know what the hell he's talking about. What am I doing here? My mind's going blank now. Where am I headed? I keep forgetting I'm president. Where am I? No idea. Last night on the television, I was on a telephone rapidly rising and with I don't know. COVID has taken more than 100 years. Look, here's lives reflected in the NHEI. America is a nation that can be defined in a single word. I was on foot in we're going to seize the ill-begotten gains of Putin's kleptocracy. Yeah. NATO's purpose is to defend against aggression. Let me make that near and dear to you that you like to be able to. Anyway. My mind's going blank now. What's happening? What, I can't remember. I'm gonna lose track. My mind's going blank now. What are you talking about? What the hell's going on here? Where the hell are we? My mind's going blank now. I can't remember. I don't know what the hell he's talking about. What am I doing here? My mind's going blank now. Where am I headed? I keep forgetting I'm president. Where am I? No idea. I don't think as the idea that the political coverage of the I want to thank and recognize Dr. John King song. King Death song. I can't get this to function at all. My mind's going blank now. What's happening? What, I can't remember. I lose track. My mind's going blank now. What are you talking about? What the hell's going on here? Where the hell are you? My mind's going blank now. I can't remember. I don't know what the hell he's talking about. What am I doing here? My mind's going blank now. Where am I headed? I keep forgetting I'm president. Where am I? No idea. No idea. No idea. No idea.
Welcome back once again. This is Chris Report, and he assured me that St. Simon's down in Boulders. Folks, this is Chris Wyatt reporting from South Africa. Saturday, July 20th, 2024. Welcome back to Chris Wyatt Reports, folks. This is Chris live in central Pennsylvania with your daily dose, your antidote, your prevention, your jab against fake news, bogus reporting, and hyperbole. Thanks for joining us once again on an unannounced Saturday news broadcast. I plan on being a rather short one, probably about an hour here, so don't worry about setting aside a lot of time on your clock or your calendar, your day planner, as we are here for this news broadcast. Just finished the live broadcast on Rugby Ascendant, the Springboks victory over Portugal. Not a surprise. Good performance by Portugal. Also not a good surprise. They were thoroughly dominated at times, but never gave up and had some exciting style of play. Final score 64-21, setting a record in Bloemfontein for the highest score ever run up by a Springbok side for a test match in Bloemfontein. Well done by the Bucks. Lots of debutantes all getting tries. It was incredible. Andre Hugo Fenta with a try, and the list goes on and on. So many of these debutantes getting tries. Good. The only downer on the game was a red card issued to Andre Esterhuizen that seemed very much unfair. The officials in the TMO claimed there was head contact. The video replay from a distance looks like there could be head contact, but when you saw the play up close in the original replay, which they never showed again, there was no head contact. It was simply a jarring hit. Anyway, if worst case, it should have been a high tackle. Brett Sessum's, Benny Thompson's, okay, I have no idea why you're talking about Benny Thompson. Welcome, Brett. Anyway, let me say hello to everybody in the chat. We'll get to the news. Got some news stories. Israel strikes Yemen today. Their jets flew and attacked Yemen, blowing up massive oil storage depot. Shocking what's going on in the Middle East. And South Africa's ANC was cautioned by the African Christian Development Party, or Christian Democratic Party, ACDP, warning them that Ramaphosa will suffer God's wrath. Well, that's not going to go over well with Ramaphosa. He'll just ignore that. Myra Page, Teresa, Marty van Balen is back. Dylan Kumbrick, John Huchin, and from Arizona, Johnny Jarvis says hello. Excellent performance. Some of the youngest. Yeah, there was some great performance by some of the really young players in South African rugby today. Sasha Feinberg, Zulu, what an incredible player. And then Kurt Arendse, despite the yellow card, which was deserved, it was a crock roll. He's lucky he didn't hurt the player. And then Rainier Dutoy. A. Moore is back. Welcome to you. Brett Sessoms. Things are well. Teresa Rainier Dutoy, the scientist, Jan Fillon is here. Charles Van Onselen, the voice of reason, Arbot. And there's everybody I see in the chat so far. Thanks for being here on a Saturday, folks. I'll keep it painfully short. This will be a rather short news today. Staff was calling X talking about wishing. Oh, okay. No, I didn't see that. He's the guy who introduced the legislation to strip the president of Secret Service protection. This guy needs to be removed from office. The voters don't vote him out in November, then they're idiots. This guy is an obvious race hater, and he needs to be removed. By the way, last night, folks, longtime race hustler and anti-white Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee passed away at the age of 74. This woman is one of the most vile human beings in Congress, and she has passed away. Recently lost an election to be the mayor of Houston, being defeated by a longtime Democratic operative in an embarrassing comeuppance for her. I did a video on @RealChrisWyatt in which I just simply announced her passing, because you have nothing good to say about someone. When they're passing, I suppose you shouldn't say anything. And that's what that video is about. But announcing that she has passed away today here on this program. So thanks for those who are here. Let's get to the news before we go any further here. That was Giselle with Lekje Foto Op at the beginning of this, folks. The independent media and their publication Independent Online find themselves in deep kimchi, rather rapidly rising hot water for them for what some have described as irresponsible journalism. Others have said malicious activity. Others have said it's a mistake. Whatever it is, the Independent Online has caused a serious problem in the defamation and the Poppy Act violations against an innocent citizen whose life they put in jeopardy. Please watch that video on my broadcast. You can find that video talking about Gulam, the Twitter account, Mr. Vadwa, and the IOL. Not many views on that. Appreciate if you watch that video. That's in-depth analysis of what's been going on. This is the same media house that ran a story and aired a video, an altered video, to give the impression that Ronaldo Huz did something that he did not do. This is a publication that's being sued for 1.2 million rand. I think that's a ridiculously small amount of money given the damage they've done to this man's life. This should be a $200 million lawsuit. University of KwaZulu-Natal lecturer Mohammed Yaqub Vadwa, who was incorrectly identified by independent media as the person behind the Gulam MV Twitter account, is now being sued by the media house. He's now suing the media house, its boss, Iqbal Survey, and the editors for 1.2 million. Wow. Less than 2 days after it retracted its story, they published a apology in a 5-minute video, but only about 30 seconds, 45 seconds of was actually the apology. It wasn't genuine from the standpoint of most people who viewed it. Now, this is what happened. In the court filing, they're aware of this. The lawyers are aware that on July 15th, a contract killing was arranged by an unknown person or persons offering a 250,000 rand to the person who would kill Mr. Vadwa. As a result, he suffered emotional and psychological trauma and had to move himself and his family to secure locations. The video that they published on YouTube and ran with independent media as of July 19th, and since then who knows where it's at, had attracted 108,300 viewers, 782 likes, 545 reposts, and 116 replies. And some of those replies labeled Mr. Vadwa as a racist and as that he should be castrated. Now, where is the Department of Justice in South Africa in investigating those domestic terror threats against Mr. Vadwa, a man of color? Where is the South African Captured Human Rights Commission in pursuing the people who have been attacking this innocent man who was defamed by a reckless publication? Where are they? Where is the South African Human Rights Captured Commission on this case? Nowhere to be found. Nowhere to be found. As this man, who had nothing to do with what's going on here, was outed by an irresponsible publication. No one is there. Everyone's silent. His life in jeopardy, his family forced to live in hotels at his personal expense. Wow. Can you imagine such garbage? Unbelievable. But 1.2 million isn't even going to be remotely enough to cover this. Well, the electric slide minister, Kochisenso Ramakopa, at the Copacabana, the hottest spot north of Havana, is banking on renewable energy and says that's how he's going to bring cheaper electricity to South Africans. Listen, Ramakopa seems like a smart guy, except when he opens his mouth, or dances, I should say. You are not going to make electricity less expensive by employing the most expensive means of delivering electricity, renewables. What planet is he living on? What planet is he? He said, we're going to protect the poor from the extent to which their wages and disposable income have been eroded by electricity tariffs. We're going to super exploit our renewable endowments in the form of sun and wind found in the Cape provinces. In this way, we'll be able to bring greener, faster, cheaper, more affordable electricity to the people. Really? And who is paying for those expensive solar panels and those wind turbines and the installation and then the individual hookups at everybody's home? Who exactly is paying for that? How is that going to be cheaper? Do you know what it costs to put panels on my house? If I put a full house of panels on here, over $45,000, over 15% of the cost of my home to put crap on my house. For what? That's not even with battery storage. You put battery storage in, you're north of $60,000. How is that going to benefit the poor? He's living in an alternate reality like his predecessor, Andre de Ruyter, clearly clueless about the true cost of green energy. And I'm not even talking about the true ecological cost of green energy, the destruction of mountainsides, ecological environments, water tables poisoned and polluted for the extraction of rare earth elements and the minerals necessary to create these solar panels and wind turbines and all this fantasy battery nonsense that the so-called green energy, the most heavily polluting, even more pollution coming from that than the extraction of some hydrocarbons, like for instance, natural gas, which burns much cleaner than any of these green sources do. So, this guy is living in a fantasy world. Jacob Zuma snubs the president's opening of Parliament, but then he goes to an opening of Parliament debate. Jacob Zuma snubs Ramaphosa, calling him a traitor. Former President Jacob Zuma, the accused corruption thief, on Friday attended the opening of Parliament at the Cape Town City Hall after he snubbed the opening of the 7th administration on Thursday. Wow. President Zuma handing the baton from one honorable member to another. The Zuma legacy continues, says Dudu Head, his daughter. Yeah. It was take your dad to work day. So funny. To those that think President Zuma will attend the opening of Parliament, led and addressed by Sir Ramaphosa, are totally dislodged from reality. It's over Helen Zilla's dead body that you'll find President Zuma under the same roof with a traitor addressing him and the nation. A traitor. The traitor to the South African people, arguably, is Jacob Zuma, whose theft was proven in the arms case, stole from South Africans, poor black South Africans, who stole from poor black South Africans by building a luxurious mansion in his hometown at taxpayer expense, whose inaction and failure to follow a court order when he was in contempt of court and show his disdain for the rule of law led to an insurrection in South Africa and the deaths of officially 358 people, but unofficially, we know it was probably closer to 3,200 people. Yeah, who is the traitor to South Africa? Cyril Ramaphosa? The money launderer? The accused money launderer? Or Jacob Zuma, the accused thief? My money's on Jacob Zuma as being the bigger traitor to South Africa. And the evidence of it, it's every day. He has a man that wasn't even on the list for Parliament. I don't even know how he's serving in Parliament. It violates the election law. So is anyone ever going to challenge the appointment of Schlope, the disgraced, impeached, former corrupt judge of the Western Cape High Court, who's now the caucus leader for the MK party and says the most outrageous things? And of course, the newspapers love to report on him every single day. So he says the government of national unity is a cruel joke. The MK's party, John Schlope, calls for an agrarian revolution. He criticized the government of the national unity as a very cruel joke by Ramaphosa faction ANC and the DA perpetuate against the oppressed and downtrodden masses of our people. Once again, just racist garbage here. Our people? Who's our people? Our people are the South Africans, if you're a South African politically. It's 63 million people. That's who your people are. Wow. Citizen Concern criticized Ernst Roets for promoting and protecting his culture and describing it as Western culture. But did she make a video about John Schlope talking about our people, or Cyril Ramaphosa talking about our 50 million South Africans when there's more than that? Interesting. He said there was a need for an agrarian revolution in South Africa. An agrarian revolution. This is what he had to say. We are not apoplectic about our stand. We remain firm. Section 25 of the Constitution must be amended to make the provision for the expropriation of land without compensation. Why? That is the only way we can redress imbalances of the past and ensure every South African has access to land. So you steal from someone else that's productive and impoverish them. That's how you address past imbalances? No, you moron. He said the MK party will continue to fight for Section 25 of the Constitution to be amended. We will do this in a peaceful and lawful manner. Really? We'll see. He said he believes when there is access to land, many problems will be dealt with, including the movement of people from rural areas to urban areas in search of greener pastures. He said access to land will ensure everybody has bread on the table. No, it won't. Show me a subsistence culture around the world with a population of over 50 million that's succeeding. There isn't a single country in the world with an agrarian population that's on subsistence. It has 50 million people. What planet is this guy living on? 50 million people having farms and being subsistence? Where is the coders? So how are you going to raise money? How are you going to raise capital? How are you going to build roads? How are you going to distribute things? This guy is a lunatic, an absolute wackadoodle. John Schlope has no business in Parliament. And the authorities should keep a very close eye on his activities because he's going to do something illegal at some point. Well, referring to the Inganyama Trust, he said people who live in those areas are not dependent on your $350 per month. Actually, that's a lie. That's a flat out lie. Mr. President, they are serious farmers. They practice subsistence farming in those areas and they are not dependent on your $350 to live. That's ludicrous. I'm sorry. So does subsistence farming provide you with electricity? Does subsistence farming provide you with transportation? Does subsistence farming provide you with medical care, surgeries, hospital care, medications? No, it doesn't provide any of that, you dingbat doorknob John Schlope. This lunacy. How do people like this get elevated political positions? It shows you how stupid people are around the world. Unbelievable. Unbelievable, ladies and gentlemen. Well, Fikele Mabalula says something that makes sense. I need to drink some caffeine here to make sure I read this correctly. It's crazy. Okay, a little bit of caffeine there. MK EFF narrative of sellout describing the ANC is opportunistic. And it is. Fikele Mabalula is correct. For once in his life, Fikele Mabalula is correct. I'm just going to have to be careful I don't fall out of my chair on this one. MK and EFF are pushing back against the vision of a united, democratic, non-sexist, and prosperous South Africa, said Fikele Mabalula. After the MK party and EFF sought to paint the ANC as sellouts working with the oppressor, and that's racist right there, why isn't the South African Human Rights Commission taking the ANC to court, calling the DA an oppressor? That's a racist language. It's a racist trope, just like colonialist, just like settler, in the direct, intentional denigration of white South Africans, virtually none of whom had anything to do with the apartheid era. Over half the white population in South Africa was born after apartheid, had nothing to do with it. And those who had an active role in apartheid are a small number of people in society. This racist garbage is permitted by the South African Captured Human Rights Commission, while they are punked into filing a lawsuit on an altered video in which the publication that ran the video should be the party which they take to court for racist language, not the party who they're taking to court. This is the corrupt society that is South Africa, much like the corrupt society that is America, where politicians lie and people eat the garbage up like bubblegum. Wow. So Fikele Mabalula said the vision of a united, democratic, non-sexist, and prosperous South Africa. That's brilliant. And that is exactly the ACDP, the Freedom Front Plus, the DA, and even Action SA's vision for South Africa. And I think the IFP would probably agree with that for the most part too. That's not the ANC of 2024 or 2023 or 2022. The ANC of 2022 to 2024 is a race supremacy, black supremacy, anti-white, lunatic kleptocracy. So he's describing an ANC that doesn't exist. It would be nice if the ANC was seeking a vision of a united, democratic, non-sexist, and prosperous, non-racial. Notice he didn't notice non-racial. The ANC was formed on the basis of non-racialism. But he doesn't mention that. Wouldn't it be nice? Excuse me? What are you talking about, John? I've missed something here. Oh, Brett. Oh, John's asking Brett to talk about his own channel. That's a fair question. ACDP warns Ramaphosa that he'll suffer the wrath of God, God's punishment for his taking, the South Africans, ANC, taking the Israelis to the International Court of Justice. Wow. Speaking during the opening of Parliament debate, ACDP Deputy President Wayne Tring cited crime statistics warning Ramaphosa and the ANC of God's punishment for taking Israel to court. Mr. President, our president, Dr. Kenneth Mishwe, warned you about inviting the judgment of God upon yourself and your party regarding the hypocritical international position taken on the Israeli-Palestine conflict. Let this be your second warning. Wow. So the ACDP warns Cyril Ramaphosa again. Now, John Steenhuisen, who oftentimes has a very thin skin, needs to be given credit for this one. In Parliament, when he's being attacked by racists and bigots, he comes back with a perfect response. This is absolutely brilliant. This story in the Times Live. Let me cover this one here, folks. Matriculant versus VBS looters. John Steenhuisen goes toe-to-toe with Mbuyiseni and Ndlozi. DA leader John Steenhuisen singled out his party's plans within the government of national unity during opening of Parliament. However, his speech ruffled some feathers amongst the EFF, the prison suit-wearing members of Parliament, when he spoke of political forces that seek to break down rather than build up. And obviously it struck a chord with them because the EFF knows that that's their raison d'etre. The reason for existing is to break things apart, not to create unity. And that's who he was talking about. EFF MP Mbuyiseni Ndlozi did not take his statement lightly, interrupting John Steenhuisen's speech, calling him a matriculant. I wanted respectfully to address the Honorable Member Steenhuisen with his rightful title as a matriculant, seeing there's confusion of titles today. This is a judge referring to impeached Judge John Schlope, who's not a judge. And this is a matriculant. So What is the hatred and bigotry? We know that most people who are in politics in South Africa, in the ANC, the EFF, and MK, don't have real degrees. They were given degrees. They're handed degrees. They didn't actually earn them. But so what's your fascination with degrees? So this is what John Steenhuisen had to say in response. The grannies, pensioners, and stokvels who had their money stolen from VBS Mutual Bank do not sleep better knowing the people who stole from them have doctorates and master's degrees. Stole! Burn! Burn! Oh, my God. John Steenhuisen described the government of national unity as South Africa's chance to free itself from populism, division, and economic decline. Yeah, if the ANC was more humble and you had control of other ministries like the state enterprises, public enterprises. But you don't. That's under the control of Cyril Ramaphosa, so the decline will continue. But you got to give John Steenhuisen credit there. Despite having a thin skin, that was a brilliant comeback. South African Revenue Service advocate gunned down, survives assassination attempt. That's Korath Naude, shot 4 times. Shot in the neck. The bullet exited through her mouth. Shot in the chest twice. Unbelievable this woman survived. 1 tore through her neck and ripped out through her mouth on its path through her body. 3 more shots fired from a 9mm slammed into her shoulder and her chest. The attempted hit comes 488 days after the double murder of Clote Murray and his son, Thomas. Remember that? There she is. She survived this assassination attempt. This open season on those who are prosecuting or investigating the criminal syndicates in South Africa must stop. South Africa is not a legitimate country when gangsters can run around the country like this with impunity and attack every government official and every person going after the cheats. Well, yours is an intellectually incompetent argument, says the electricity minister, Kojisenso Ramakopa, in response to John Schlope. And I guess John Schlope is going to be replacing the EFF as the clown car show of Parliament in this 7th government. Minister Kojisenso Ramakopa might have earned himself the title of Ramaphosa's defender after he used his time in the opening Parliament debate to dismiss arguments made by critics as intellectually incompetent. He said, Dr. Schlope makes the point that scholars of political science suggest a government of national unity is only constructed to respond to an emergency or crisis. I want to suggest to you that there are more studies that suggest it is not only about emergency or crisis, but the possibility of collectively pursuing an opportunity that presents itself in the context of a geopolitical crisis. What you have done amounts to an intellectually, academically incompetent argument. I'm saying that with greatest respect. No respect given, none intended. When you start your sentence saying, I don't mean to be disrespectful, you are intending to be disrespectful. Israel has bombed Yemen, folks, in response to a drone strike. The strike was in retaliation for a drone attack launched from Yemen the previous day, which evaded Israel's defenses and hit a building in Tel Aviv, killing 1 Israeli. And there is the carnage. This photograph released by Houthi media service shows a large fire at the Yemeni port of Hodeidah after Israeli airstrikes on Saturday, today. Video courtesy of Agence France Presse, who got it from Getty Images. How does Getty get all these pictures? So, Israeli fighter jets bomb sites in Yemen affiliated with the Houthi-backed militia on Saturday in retaliation for deadly drone attack in Tel Aviv. They targeted gas and oil depots and a power station in the Red Sea port of Hodeidah. The port is controlled by the Houthis and contains oil export facilities, but also serves as a vital conduit for civilian goods and humanitarian aid to the impoverished Yemenis. An Israeli military statement said the fighter jets struck targets near the port in response to hundreds of attacks by the Houthis in recent months. Military said it was not tightening its emergency civil defense regulations after the attack, indicating Israeli officials might not expect a more serious escalation. Well, this is an escalation of the conflict in the Middle East nonetheless. Well, people are dying in Bangladesh, folks, in Dhaka. Dhaka and several other Bangladeshi cities have been engulfed by protests as opposition to a new policy reserving a portion of government jobs for certain groups. Wow. Over 100 protests. Life in the Bangladeshi capital ground to a halt today as the government enforced a curfew to quell violent clashes between student protesters and security forces. Shops, businesses were closed, and roads largely empty in the city of 10 million. According to the Washington Post tally of hospital police reports, at least 110 people have been killed in the demonstrations over the past 4 days. Mohammed Abir, a medical examiner at the morgue in Dhaka College Hospital, said that he had 33 bodies come in on Friday evening alone. United Nations Human Rights Chief Volker Turk said Friday he called for violence shocking and unacceptable, asked for restraint. The city's been engulfed in protests against a new government policy of reserving a portion of civil service jobs for specific groups, including descendants of the nation's freedom fighters. The quota system, seen as unfair, has fueled explosive anger toward the government under Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina, which has deployed increasingly draconian methods to quell the demonstrations. So when you reserve privilege for people, a la BEE racism, you cause harm to all. Well, Panama's president says that the illegal alien, criminal alien invaders are our problem. It's America's problem, not his problem. Well, thank you for sharing that. Latin American president dismisses migrant problem as United States problem. President of Panama, Jose Raul Molina, said the ongoing migrant crisis in the Western Hemisphere is the United States problem, although his country is a conduit for this. This is the United States problem that we are managing, said newly elected Jose Raul Molina. People don't want to live in Panama. They want to go to the United States. Of course, it's a key crossing point to get here. This year, the U.S. has worked with Panama and Colombia to try to limit crossings, including a 60-day campaign last year. But over 500,000 migrants moved through Panama last year. Molina has vowed to make changes to solve the crisis and make Panama a less attractive destination. He also vowed to increase deportations. Well, it's not just the United States problem. It's a Western Hemisphere problem. When your countries are denuded of their population because people don't want to live there, you have a problem. Well, hiding in Rehoboth, Joe Biden hiding away in Rehoboth, pretending he's got COVID. As he recovers from COVID, the president has grown resentful towards Democratic congressional leaders and even former President Barack Hussein Obama. That's actually a good photograph of Joe. Wow, that's very sharp. Sick with Rona and abandoned by allies, President Biden has been fuming at his Delaware Beach house, increasingly resentful about what he sees as an orchestrated campaign to drive him out of the race and bitter towards some of those he once considered close, including his one-time partner, Barack Hussein Obama. The friction between the sitting president and leaders of his own party so close to an election is unlike anything seen in Washington for generations since the 1960s, when the racist-in-chief Johnson resigned. Lyndon Baines Johnson, the racist-in-chief, decided not to run for re-election, I should say. Well, Joe Biden continues to resist Democratic calls to end his campaign. The latest high-profile demon rat to call on him to step aside is Sherrod Brown, another part of the cabal of Democrats who are anti-democratic, who seek to disenfranchise the voters in the primaries who selected Demented Joe to be their candidate. These people selected Demented Joe to be their candidate, so he should be the candidate. But the elites that run the Democratic Party, just like 2016 when they robbed Bernie Sanders of the nomination with their fake superdelegate BS, this is what they're doing again. All the primaries are nothing but a sick, twisted trick on the Democratic voters of this country because they were never intended to select Joe Biden to be the Democratic nominee. It was all meant to get to this moment, to push him aside, to get someone who can actually beat Donald Trump. And that's why the Democrats are howling mad at the moment. Well, Joe Biden will be meeting with Benjamin Netanyahu. I wonder which one of them will be awake. The president expects to discuss developments on a ceasefire deal in Gaza when he meets the prime minister on the 22nd of July. Coincidentally, the same day that the feckless moron who runs the Secret Service, name is Kim Cheadle, will be speaking before Congress. A woman not held accountable for the near assassination of the president of the United States, a woman whose service is in terminal decline, yet they're responsible for protecting the most important people on the planet. A woman who passes the buck and blames the Pennsylvania State Police and local Butler Police for her failures. A woman who later admits that it was her failures, yet refuses to resign. A woman who has no business serving in any capacity in our government, and she has shown us to be the case. Same day. So he's meeting with Netanyahu. Well, what's he going to tell him? And Joe Biden is demanding Israel have a ceasefire, while 12 American hostages remain the prisoners of terrorists in Gaza. 122 people kidnapped from Israel by terrorists in barbaric crimes against humanity on October 7th, 2023, remain there. And Joe Biden doesn't care. Just like the 13 service members murdered at Abbey Gate and the 45 other service members horrifically wounded, Joe Biden doesn't care. During the dignified return of remains to Dover Air Base, this was Joe Biden. no respect whatsoever for our service members. They are simply pawns and lives to be lost in the furtherance of his grift and his corrupt family business of theft from the American people. Joe Biden doesn't care. Joe must go. Joe must go. Well, Speaker Mike Johnson of the House of Representatives said that anyone who disrupts Benjamin Netanyahu's speech to Congress will be arrested. Well, that's some harsh words, folks. Yep, Speaker Johnson threatens to arrest lawmakers who disrupt Netanyahu's speech. Johnson said, I want you to know that there's a number of Democrats in the House who've said they're going to boycott the event, and then there are some others who are going to protest. Listen, we're going to have extra sergeants at arm on the floor, and if anybody gets out of hand, the Speaker of the House will bang the gavel, and we're going to arrest people if we have to do it. We're going to get the message out. Wow. Netanyahu last addressed Congress a decade ago. Nearly 60 Democrats skipped his speech at the time because they felt his presence in Washington ran afoul of then President Barack Obama's negotiations with Iran to forge a nuclear deal. And that's because those 60 treasonous demon rats wanted to give the terror supporter Iran $150 billion and betray America. These people shouldn't be serving in Congress. They shouldn't be serving in Congress. They are a threat to our national security, serving in Congress. Well, the Biden family is grappling with the end of the grift. Who are they going to get money from when Joe's gone? Yeah, they're struggling. Family members seek to provide private support while confronting a new level of scrutiny amid Democratic calls for Biden to end his candidacy. Look, there's the advisor-in-chief, the crack addict, Hunter Biden, the felon, federal arms criminal. Hunter Biden, White House advisor. President Biden has just arrived back at his White House following a weekend at Camp David with his family. Walked through the doors of the South Lawn. He had 45 minutes before he was to deliver remarks about the Supreme Court's decision to grant immunity to Trump. Matt Visser, you are a lying sack of horseshit. The Supreme Court did not grant immunity to Donald Trump, you dingbat doorknob. You actually a journalist for the Washington Compost? You're not a journalist. You're a propagandist. President Trump didn't get granted immunity. President's immunity was officially recognized. The immunity implied under the Constitution was officially recognized by the Supreme Court. No one granted Donald Trump. There's not even a mention of him by name in the decision. Matt Visser, you're not a legitimate journalist. You're a propagandist. There you go. There you go. And more congressional Democrats now calling for Joe Biden to step away and pass the torch to a new candidate to defraud the millions of foolish Democrats who voted for Joe Biden during the primary season. All of these Democratic voters will now be defrauded. Their standard bearer, their demented, Depends wearing, adult diaper, falling down the stair, amphetamine charged candidate, they're trying to remove this person who millions of Democrats voted for. A chorus of congressional Democrats calling on Biden to drop his reelection campaign and allow the party to nominate a new leader has grown into roughly 3 dozen. The number of Democrats willing to go public with their views increased after Nancy Pelosi of visa corruption fame, Senate Majority Leader Chucky Schumer, and Hakeem Jeffries pressuring him to step aside. Wow. And it just keeps coming. It just keeps coming. Biden has no business. All right, folks, that's the news I want to cover for today. We got through that pretty quickly, just 38 minutes. What I want to talk about now is the incompetence. And at this point, we have to begin to wonder if conspiracy theories shouldn't be employed here to explain what happened in Butler, Pennsylvania last Saturday, 1 week ago. We are a week since the attempt on the life of President Trump, and what have we discovered? We discovered a lot in the immediate aftermath, and I analyzed that on the spot that evening as I did a live broadcast, which some people tuned in for. Since then, we've learned a lot more. We've learned that Kim Cheadle is a bold-faced liar. She's incompetent, and she's obviously a diversity hire, and only in there because of Jill Biden liking her. Well, Jill Biden liking someone shouldn't be the basis for that person being responsible for protecting former presidents, including Jimmy Carter. This is clearly beyond her capability. She's more concerned with hiring vaginas than she is with protecting the president of the United States. That's what her concern is. She's publicly stated. She said that's her goal. That's what she's going to achieve. She's not concerned about protecting the principles. She's concerned that the force must be 30% women. Never mind whether they're competent, capable. If they're competent, capable women, fine, hire them. Then they're the best candidates. But you don't hire people just because they're black women to be in the Supreme Court. Oh, wait, you do under the Biden regime. And the same with Kim Cheadle. This woman has lied to the public. And here are some of the fairy tales she told us. Number one, that the president's detail was given more Secret Service agents before this event. That's a lie. We know that's a lie. It's pure fiction. These agents weren't on the ground. So how are they part of the detail? So that's the first lie. The second lie, she claimed that the reason that the president was shot is because it wasn't the Secret Service responsibility. Local police are responsible for the perimeter. That's horse manure. The Secret Service is responsible for the perimeter. They may employ local police, but they are responsible, and they must have liaison. They must have communications with the people there. Who sets up a defensive perimeter to protect a VIP and doesn't have communications with the other parties involved? Only morons. Only morons. So she lied to us about that. Then she claimed that the reason there was no sniper on the building across the street where the assailant shot from is because it was too dangerous for the Secret Service because of the slope of the building. The slope of the building? Have you seen the White House with its gable like this? Snipers and spotters sit up on that roof all the time. It isn't too dangerous for them to sit on the White House. There aren't like any footholds like, mountain climbing up there. The slope of the building where the sniper was at was actually like this. The slope of the building where the assailant was at was like this, almost flat. She lied. Why is she employed? Why is she not facing criminal charges for criminal negligence? She should be an accomplice to the attempted assassination of Donald John Trump because her negligence and her lies essentially have made her an accomplice to the attempted assassination of Donald Trump. Kim Cheadle is an accomplice through her negligence. She's an accomplice, ladies and gentlemen. It's as simple as that. Kim Cheadle is an accomplice through her negligence and her lies. So the next lie is that, we had Secret Service snipers inside the building where the shooter was. Really? And you didn't hear someone crawling all over an aluminum roof. You didn't hear that. You didn't hear someone crawling on the roof. My roof is not made of aluminum, but I hear people on it. If birds land on my roof, I can hear that. And your Secret Service snipers inside the building didn't hear that. Did not hear that. Liar, liar, pants on fire, Pinocchio. This woman is a disgrace. Brett, super chat, thank you for that. $1.99 saying Joe Scarborough is calling for Biden to step down. Who cares what Joe Scarborough's got to say? That guy is a hack. He was a disgraceful member of Congress, and he's an even worse faux journalist and commentator. Disgraceful communist. Cabello Quacho, why are you laughing? What are you laughing about? So she's an absolute disgrace. She's an accomplice by default through her negligence and her lies. And the list goes on and on of lies. I actually worked with the Secret Service. I've actually been on the site with the President of the United States, and I know how it works. It doesn't work the way these Keystone cops executed this last week. No pun with the word executed there. The operational plan, the inspections, the checks, the range fan. That's another one. The Washington Post and the media rushed to cover for the Secret Service failures, which makes you begin to wonder. At some point, we have to begin to wonder if a conspiracy theory is involved here. Now, I'm not claiming this, but let's just take a flyer here. Let's just say that the conspiracy theories, some people are saying that someone in the government's involved in this. Well, that seems more plausible than the explanations that we're getting from Kim Cheadle, doesn't it? It seems very plausible the Secret Service could intentionally not check the site. It also seems very plausible the Secret Service is incompetent enough not to have communications with all law enforcement on the ground and not to have the secret or the special agent in charge, the SAC, responsible. That all seems very plausible. It seems highly implausible that the reason that there wasn't a Secret Service sniper on that roof with a clear line of sight to shoot the president is because of the slope of the roof. It also seems highly improbable and implausible that there were Secret Service snipers inside the building hearing the guy walk on the roof and not doing anything about it. It also seems highly implausible that spectators for 90 minutes identified this man to police and they took no action. What seems more plausible? The conspiracy theories at this stage. And the reason we have this problem is because of a corrupt government, an opaque government, just like the ANC, that refuses to be honest with the American people, refuses to share information. We have commentators like Joyless Reed and lunatics on MSLSD running around complaining, well, the president's doctor hasn't released a report. It's none of your freaking business. It's his personal medical condition. Well, we don't know if he was hit by flying glass or ducks or bird feces from birds flying by. What, did Trump really get shot? Are you serious? Are you serious? What do you think? Was it ketchup pack on his ear that he smacked? These morons. And you have no right to his personal medical information. What we do have a right to is a briefing from the director of the Secret Service explaining and detailing the pervasive, massive, epic failures of the Secret Service in this cover-up. This is a cover-up, plain and simple. Whether it's a cover-up because the government is complicit in the attempted murder of Donald Trump, which seems implausible as well, but if that's true, it doesn't matter. It's also a cover-up, it's truly a cover-up of the incompetence of the FBI. And we have multiple competing investigations now, none of which are going to tell us the truth. The FBI, the same organization that gave us the fake Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act warrants to spy on Carter Page, to spy on Michael Flynn, to get Donald Trump for an activity that's perfectly legal. The incoming National Security Advisor, after winning the election, reaches out to the Russian ambassador and says they want to talk. That's what you do. That's not a crime. And that's why they went after Donald Trump for collusion with Russia. There's no collusion. He's doing his freaking job, you morons. The same people in the previous administration did the same thing. Absolute nonsense. The same people that got fraudulent warrants to spy on the president of the United States. And when the president told the public that they spied on Trump Towers, they spied on him in the White House, in the Oval Office, the media dismissed it and said Trump's a liar. There's no evidence of that. Well, we have the evidence of it. We know that the FBI violated the Constitution and violated the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act law and spied on Americans illegitimately. And not a single FBI agent has gone to jail. Not a single government actor has gone to jail for that violation. We're supposed to believe this FBI. There's $5 from Brett. Morning Joe is calling for Biden to step down. You know, it's bad. He's like Biden's biggest cheerleader. Yeah. Yes, DEI is dangerous. That FBI, the same FBI that fueled the Russia collusion narrative, that took the Christopher Steele dossier, the fake, cooked up fantasy novel written by Christopher Steele with no intelligence whatsoever. Collusion with let's not forget the Australian intelligence service, which betrayed our relationship. They, the Australians, collected information on American citizens in the Trump administration and fed that to Christopher Steele. That was taken by the Democrats and given to John McCain, who betrayed this nation with the fake Russia hoax collusion narrative. And that was the basis for the impeachment. That FBI is investigating this shooting. We're supposed to believe that FBI? That FBI of James Comey, who lied about everything and has a 6-figure job in an Ivy League school. Of course, it's an Ivy League school where they're Jew haters, anti-Semites, but, I suppose that's okay if you're a leftist. Unbelievable. We're supposed to trust this FBI. I don't trust them for a second. Not for a microsecond. I don't trust the Secret Service. I no longer trust the Department of Defense leadership. I no longer trust Congress at all, or the Supreme Court. These people have undermined confidence and trust in our government through their crimes, their actions, their inaction, and their abuse of the rule of law. And they do not deserve a right. Oh, Cabela says it seems to be planned from the inside. Well, you could easily come to that conclusion. Your statement, Cabello, is more plausible than the garbage coming from Kim Cheadle, who is still the director of the Secret Service. We gave the president more people. No, that's a lie. Well, the reason that the sniper team couldn't shoot at a blocked line of sight. The first thing a sniper does when he finds a position, he scouts for a position, is he scouts the area. Or she. There are female snipers, not many. You scout the area. Then you make a range fan. You lay out what's in front of you. If there's dead space, you walk the ground to see what you can't strike. And then you compensate for dead space either by moving to a different location or having someone else cover that dead space. You're going to tell me that they didn't do that? And then this is implausible. The sniper is in position. We watched a live video many times over. The gunshot rings. He falls back and the rifle goes up into the air on its pintle. That's not a sniper. A sniper is a trained professional with focus, with clarity, with determination. A sniper sights the target based on what the spotter tells him after doing a range fan and reconnaissance of the area. Then the sniper squeezes a round off. If before he squeezes a round off, a bullet is fired, he doesn't cower. He stays in position, or she stays in position. And then they squeeze the trigger off. So this is what should have happened on that roof that you saw behind Trump. When the shot was fired, you should have seen this. Nothing. because you wouldn't have seen the sniper move. You wouldn't have seen his rifle move. You wouldn't have seen the bullet exit because it would have shot the assailant. But instead, this is what you saw. That is not a sniper. That's crap. That's total crap. What Cabello said is far more plausible than anything we're hearing from the Secret Service director. This woman is a wackadoodle. She's dangerous. She's dangerous. Going to get people killed. Clause 25 already provides for expropriation land. That's correct. With compensation. There's no reason to change Section 25 of the Constitution. No reason whatsoever. We're talking about South Africa now. You have expropriation. It's eminent domain. That's what we have in America. And it's abused here too. Yeah, but you have to compensate people. Embry is in from Istanbul. Welcome to Embry. Late to the party. Well, this is unannounced party. All the cool kids are here. Thanks for being here. Sean Ginter says, make it happen here now. Okay, what's going on with AfriForum? Let me go back a little bit here. Oh, Benny Thompson was your congressman. Okay. It's the main reason why white Delta farmers hire only South Africans. Okay. They'll wait for the Democratic convention or they lose the millions. The 100 million in this election. That's right. They have to wait for that. He may be of color, but not the right color. Who's that? Okay. Charles says that we do better improve the infrastructure, electricity system already in place. Oh, you're talking about the solar panels. Yeah. And the green energy. Agreed. And after 5 years, you have to replace those expensive batteries. Yeah, probably sooner, my 5 pence. Yep. And Ronaldo deserves in Parliament. Well, he is in Parliament. It is ridiculous. Yep. Duda Zilla Zimmer is thicker than two short planks. She just trades her family name. George is here. Welcome to you. Brett says sooner than they were given it. That's the same for Congo. Huh. Ernst, welcome to you. Charles Van Onselen, there's a crap loads of land in New Trust. None of it's commercial. Correct. And that's why it's not an agricultural booming place. Subsistence agriculture is not the path to prosperity. And then Sean says, make it happen in Kharinel and AfriForum. I must have missed something about AfriForum. Okay. Yeah, for once, Mabula is right. That's right. Okay, John Jarvis with my new job. Okay. Clause 25. I got that already. Who else we got here? My chat just went back up again. Elmy 5 Pence says Biden must go. Biden must go. Agreed. Always thought that Tulsi Gabbard would be a good Democratic candidate. I don't. Better than Biden, but then a doorknob is better than Biden, so let's be fair. By the way, I was able to order a special kit for energy efficiency. It was free. Not free. I paid for it through my service fees, but then you get it free. I'll be right back. Hang on. This is what happens when government gets involved in the marketplace. So I get a welcome kit, and I can use the crayons provided in the box to color in this box. Ooh, isn't that nice? This is meant to give to adults to increase energy efficiency. This was free, sent to me by my electric provider, and of course I paid for it. It wasn't really free. If I don't get it, someone else will get it. So, what else we got here? Whoa, some more people in here. So. Do you trust the group? No, I don't, Cabello. No, Cabello, you obviously haven't watched all my content. Go back and watch the video. Is Hendo here? There's Hendo. Hendo, could you please put the link to the video when I said the questionable picks for the ministerial positions? That should give people a little sense of where I stand in the government national unity. I don't trust the government national unity. No, I don't trust the ANC. Aaron's just donated some money there. Thank you for coffee, caffeine fix. Oh, 99 Rand. Thank you for that, brother. That's nice. The short that was put on Trump's stock is very suspicious. Oh, yeah, that too. Yep. Elmo 5 cents. No answers to cartridges accumulated at site. 9 shots. Yep. Carla says a psyop, perhaps. Good evening to you. And Mr. Punish is back. Oh, my gosh, where have you been hiding? It's been a while since we've seen you. Paul Doveton says the internal threat. And then Deborah Olivia is here. Enjoyed your analysis. Isn't concerned. Well, thank you for that. I get a lot of criticism for that because people aren't bothering to listen to what I said. I didn't attack her. In fact, I complimented her and promoted her site. It's stupid. The shooter was photographed by members of the public. Yeah, exactly. Okay. Do you trust the deep state? Well, why would I trust deep state? So let's take a look at what's in the box, okay? What do we get here for our money? Couldn't find my scissors. Must have moved them somewhere, so I had to bring a knife. I brought a knife to a gunfight. No, I brought a knife. Anyway, so now we'll open up this kit, which was about 2 or 3 weeks ago I ordered it. So what do we got here? This is what I get inside the box. Open up the box, and that's all in there. There's no gold bars in here, Bob Menendez. I'm sorry. Here's a 15-watt, 1600 lumens light bulb. There you go, 15-watt light bulb. That'll save some energy. Okay, here's a 9-watt light bulb. Well, this one is 800 lumens. I guess I'll go in the bathroom. All right, there's a 15, a 9, 3 9s. What's this one? This one doesn't say. This one's got 3 settings. You can change. This is for one of those ones where you change your light. Click, 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 click. It's got 500, 1,000, 1,500 lumens, 25,000 hours. So 6 bulbs. What's this? This is to conserve my energy, I guess, for my shower. This is a shower head, I guess. Yeah, there you go. There's a shower head. Okay, what's else here? These are some kind of fittings, I guess, go along with it. Here's some, what the hell is this thing? I don't know what this is. I have no idea what that is, folks. Anybody know what that is? It looks like a light bulb screwed in there, but then it's got, this must be some kind of light, a night light or something like that. Anyway, and what's this? Oh, that's a night light. Here's a night light. It's energy-saving night light. Ooh, there you go. I almost bought some night lights the other night. I thought about it. Here's another night light. There you go. So got a little direction thing in here. And what are these things? These are, I don't know what these are. These are stickers to go over the mains, the outlets. So that's supposed to save me energy. Okay. All right. And how much did that cost? I'd probably pay about $40 a pop through some contractor, corrupt system. But this was given to me free. Again, I didn't pay for it, but I did pay for it through my service charges. Anyway, so I get there's crayons in there. I get to color the box. How nice is that? Pete Kurtz says, like your style and presentation, live in Australia and your news is informative and greatly appreciated for next Sabbath. Well, you're very welcome, Pete Kurtz. Yeah, it's my pleasure. But I come under constant attack by people who've accomplished nothing in their lives. Whether it's in my duty as a commander of the Veterans of Foreign Wars for the local posts, where people who've never accomplished a single thing in their life, who have, checkered histories and criminal records, and then accuse people who are officers of the post of being thieves. I have no evidence of that because it doesn't happen. Whether it's that or it's here on this channel. I did the Citizen Concern video analysis. I watch her channel. I prefaced the video when I started saying I watch her content. She's doing a great service in South Africa. However, this video is off the mark, and here's why. And then after that, I quoted her multiple times. A few times I complimented her. And then I pointed out her words verbatim. I took the time to write them down because I didn't steal her content, because I didn't have her permission, because I haven't been in touch with her, because when I tried to talk to her months ago, I never got a response because people asked me to have her on or for me to go on her show. So I didn't even bother to contact her. So I didn't take her content. I did write down verbatim what she said, and then I used it. And then I also, she made all these claims. And then I also called her out for being dishonest because she was dishonest. She took an interview on Jack Prosiak, a right-wing conservative host here in America who served like 5 minutes in the military, and now he's some sort of expert on social media. Jack Prosiak interviewed Ernst, and Jack Prosiak was responding to something Ernst said about how, they're called colonizers. Afrikaners are called colonizers all the time. And Prosiak says, it's the same thing here. He says, we came to this country, there was no one here, and we built this great society, and now we're being told we stole the land. Well, that is if you got a scale of 10 to 1, truth, not truth, that's way down here when it comes to truth meter. That's not true, Jack. That's not true. There were people on this continent. Before any Europeans came here, there were tens of millions of Native Americans living in what is today the United States. However, we did not commit genocide against the Native Americans. The Spanish arrived in Florida and brought pigs with them and other animals, and the pigs and poultry spread influenza, and it wiped out, and then smallpox spread from them. It spread before any of these people ever even saw a European. It killed millions in the Mississippi Delta Basin, running up the Mississippi and the southeastern states. So that by the time Europeans hit much of the North America, there weren't many Indians left here. They were wiped out by disease because they had no natural immunity to it. This is unfortunate, but it's not genocide. It's an unfortunate happenstance of history. But Jack Prosiak's comments were wrong. She took that clip in which Prosiak said that, not Ernst Rhodes, and then she attributed to Ernst Rhodes. And then she called him an extreme right-winger based on that. And then she said he had every right to protect and preserve his culture and language. And then the next sentence, she attacked him for doing exactly that. It's just inconsistent. So, again, not an attack on her. She does great content, but you can't let something like that pass. You can't let something like that pass. Hendo says, I tell the truth too many times. Folks with low IQ don't like it. Yeah, that's probably true. But thank you, Pete Kutsia. Thank you for watching me from Australia. I know it's not the easiest time for people in Australia to watch. It's 4 o'clock in the morning in Sydney. Wow. Well, in Sydney, maybe you're are you out west on the other side in Perth, maybe? Yeah, Perth, it's 2:30 in the morning. Maybe it's not as bad for you. So Deep State has put a surveillance device in the energy efficient light bulb. I'm sure they have. If anyone's wondering why I'm wearing a Rugby World Cup France Springbok jersey, it's because I just finished calling the Springboks game against Portugal. An entertaining game, but very disappointing from the standpoint from Andre Esterhuizen, who was given a red card for what arguably should have been maybe at worst a penalty. Anyway, so it wound up being a red card. And so hopefully World Rugby will adjudicate that during the week and downgrade it to a yellow card. It seems unfair that he got a red card. Anyway, but thank you, Pete Kutsia. I get attacked all the time. And it comes from the right, it comes from the left, it comes from hate wankers all over. And so I've been accused of doing fundraising for Ronaldo Jos, who's been called a racist by the people who say I'm doing fundraising. Number one, he's not a racist. Number two, you've been punked by an altered video by a media outlet that was looking for attention and used that to destroy the reputation of an honorable man. And number three, I'm not doing a fundraiser. I'm sharing information. And I'll do that again right now for those who would like to know about it. Let me just do it very quick. But I think most people here probably already heard this before. But let me just do this very quickly. And we're going to bring it up again here. Okay, why is it not showing up? There it is. Okay. So this is the image. I'm going to put it on the screen. If you want to help Ronaldo Jos, if you believe in his cause, you're welcome to do it. If you don't, then don't do it. But don't accuse me of fundraising. I'm not fundraising. I'm simply sharing the news. This is newsworthy. I think the red card was because the guy's arms were tied up and he landed on his head. I suppose you could make that. But the yellow card to Kurt Leonce was definitely deserved. That was legitimate. Ohio. Excuse me just a second. Who's this? Who's this? Thought so. Yeah, someone calling me that shouldn't be calling me. I hung up. Must have dialed the wrong number. That was an Ohio area code from Cleveland. I don't recognize the number. So here you go. So if you want to help Ronaldo Jos, you're welcome to do it. If you believe in his cause. If you don't, then you're welcome to do it. But don't criticize me and don't lie about me on my program. Whoops, that's not what I was looking for. Where the heck is it at? Where's the screen at? There it is. Okay. So many things I have here. So there it is. By the way, that's a pretty nice photo of Ronaldo at Parliament, isn't it? Anyway, here you go. So that's you're going to do a screen capture of that real quick. There's the branch code. It's an ABSA bank, the Allied Banks of South Africa. There's the account number. Be sure, folks, that you put the reference in there for Ronaldo Jos, or they'll just pocket the money, as far as I know. Portuguese fullback, the best player on the pitch today. He was good. He wasn't the best player. B2 wasn't the best player. No. I don't think so. I think that RG Stame was pretty darn good. He was the man of the match. Yep. All right. So, yeah. So, look, I mean, the abuse comes from everywhere. Remember my first trip back to South Africa in August of 2022 after the COVID scam was lifted. I was lied about. I was misrepresented. People attacked me, all because of some self-pleasuring hate wanker who sucks on eucalyptus leaves down under, who was jealous and had penis envy, decided to attack me. I don't know why. I guess, I don't know what the guy's problem was. Anyway. Oh, yes, Sasha Feinberg Ngumzulu's going places. Pepsi Butalese's going places. Absolutely. I enjoyed the match, too. At least Jose got rid of his hairstyle for his brief visit to Parliament. Yeah, that's true. François van der Westhuizen, de la chance. Il fait froid ici. Well, I'm sorry to hear it's cold there, Myra. It's not cold here. It's actually nice here today. It was in the 80s yesterday after being in 90 for so long. I don't know the current temperature. it's 69. That's bright. Oh, no, it's 87. That was this morning. I was going to say 87 is a little bit warm, but it's partly cloudy here. So, yeah. Anyway, it's the sexy beard, says Dylan. That might be why people get upset. But, I keep shrinking the beard. It gets shorter. You couldn't even see my collar just last week, and it was down here when I was in South Africa. So it's getting shrunk up. A little bit at a time, folks. A little bit at a time. So Paulie here, the brains behind the operation, thinks that the Portuguese fullback was the best player on the pitch. Oh, we all got a matter of opinion. I did my weekly podcast with M.W. Velman over on Megaphone, and you can see the drunken Irish who showed up and just made ridiculous comments. Someone said it was outrageous of me to claim that it was an intentional effort to injure Malcolm Marx. Not what I said. Not what I said. Deborah's membership, thank you for that. 29 months and wiser. Well, thank you for that, Deborah. It's my pleasure. These days, I feel like I'm having senior moments. I feel like Joe Biden sometimes. I just can't remember names and places. Really, it's just Hollywood celebrities I can't remember for the most part. But for a moment ago there, I had to search the hard drive for the name of Perth. It took me a second there when I was thinking of Australia. It took me a few moments to think of Perth. But so I was commenting. So in the interview, or the conversation I had with MW, I said that whether it was intentional or not, or otherwise, I think is what I actually said, the card that Kalen Doris got, that tackle could have ended Malcolm Marx's career. I never said it was going to end it, and I never said it was intentional. I said it could have. That is the subjunctive case. Subjunctive is the could be, might be, should be, maybe, possibly. That is the subjunctive case. I used the subjunctive case. I did not use the nominative case. I didn't clearly state or make any such claim. But these idiots go on there and make these claims. And I'm not going to tolerate it. I'll call them out. A gentleman commented on my video for Citizen Guardian. I haven't had a chance to get back to it because I've been busy all late last night. I was recording videos last night and then streaming again this morning, and I'm streaming now. I'll try to get to it when I get a chance. But he wrote something and said, well, he was surprised at my video, but then he realized, well, it's because I'm so close to Ernst Rhodes. Folks, I'm not close to Ernst Rhodes. Let's dispel that right now. Now, I have no problem with being close to him. He seems like a decent person. But here's the reality. I've interviewed him, I think, 3 times. Once at AfriForum and twice from a distance. That's over 4 years, 4.5 years, actually, almost 5 years. I've interviewed the gentleman 3 times to my recollection. Now you can go check all my videos and go, no, it was 4 times. I recall 3 times. Okay. Going back to 2020 and then twice since then. One on my trips to South Africa because it was an opportunity. He was there. So that's it. Then I have met him in person twice to my recollection in visiting AfriForum. The other times I just passed him the hall. He wasn't available, didn't have time for me. Too busy. The guy's too busy. If we were close, he would make time for me. We're not close. However, he's here in D.C. He and Ernst van Sale, who I do know, and I'm not close, but I consider him a friend, if you want to say that. I assume he considers me a friend. But Ernst van Sale, they're in town. They said they're here, and I'm 2 hours away from D.C., so suggested that they get out of D.C. and see America. So I take them out. So the gentleman who said that, that's a false statement. I'm not close to Ernst Rhodes. I'm not really close to many South Africans. I know a lot of South Africans. I'm not close. I don't live in South Africa. I don't chat with people every day. You could make the argument I'm close to Ronaldo, but I'm not even really close to Ronaldo. I do a show with him every week. I've met him each time I've gone to Port Elizabeth, which has been 3 of the 4 trips, or 2 of the 4 trips I've gone to South Africa. I'd hardly call that close. I don't have any business dealings with him. I don't have any family relations with him. We get along and we co-host a program together. But you could make the argument that I'm close to him. I'd accept that, but that's more. But I mean, Ernst Rhodes, I'm not close to him. Ernst van Sale, not close, but I consider him a friend. And also, then he said that I support Cape Independence. I've never claimed I support Cape Independence. I have no objections to a referendum. If the people want a referendum, I have no problem with that. Now, it's a newsworthy topic. That's why I interviewed Hein Marks, Des Palm, and Phil Craig. And then when the referendum party was created, I interviewed Phil Craig and members of the party. That doesn't make me close to the referendum party. It also doesn't imply that I support it. You know, it's very fascinating because it took Wyatt du Toit to explain this to Sightlander's Civil Defense Group last year, a year and a half ago, when people were grousing and grumbling because they didn't trust me. It's just untrustworthy. Why is that? because in your mind, you assumed I'm something I'm not. Because I did events with the Sightlanders, people assumed I'm a member of the Sightlanders. I'm not a member of the Sightlanders. I'm also not a member of AfriForum. Nope. Or the Afrikaner Foundation, or Solidarity, or the DA, or the ACDP. I'm not a member of any of those things. None of them. I can't rightly be a member of those things and be completely objective about discussing them. Simple as that. So making the claim that I support Cape independence is a false claim. That is that gentleman's inference. He inferred that from something never stated. My coverage of Cape independence, my discussion with the United Cape States with that gentleman, doesn't mean I support it. In fact, I have a lot of questions about Cape independence, the whole concept. But I've been asked about my thoughts. Is it possible? Of course it's possible. We've seen it happen. Ethiopia, Eritrea split. Czechoslovakia split in the Czech Republic and Slovakia. It's happened successfully and unsuccessfully. So it can happen. And people always like, what about the military? What about police? That's not a hard problem to solve, folks. But that doesn't mean I'm pushing for it or endorsing it. The inability of people to engage their brain and think critically. Assuming things, right? Like, I don't assume that Citizen Concern dislikes Answer Oates, even though her actions sort of imply that. She stated she doesn't. She didn't know much about him, but she's upset with what he said. So I'll take that at face value. But people just, oh my goodness, it's unbelievable. Mark Purchase is here. Welcome, Mark. Screw this for a joke. I thought we were close. Dylan. Oh, we're close. Well, Dylan has come to every one of my meet and greets, to my recollection, that takes place either in Woodbridge Island or now in Blaubergstrand. Yeah, Blaubergstrand. So, yeah, Dylan, I guess on that basis, you could say we're close. I never said I wasn't close to you. I said I wasn't close to many South Africans. That's what I said. That's a statement. Now you need to listen, Dylan. I said I'm not close to many South Africans. Now, people assume many things that simply are not true. Are not true. Or the UIM. Thank you, Hendo. That's the other thing. So I have a good working relationship with Neil de Beer. I have no objections to Neil de Beer. He's never done anything to me. He's never betrayed me. He's never been dishonest to me, to my knowledge. He's amiable. He's honest. He answers questions when I talk to him, when I need to find information out. He puts me in touch with people if necessary. That's where I was going with the Sightlander Civil Defense. People said they didn't trust me because I betrayed them. How did I betray the Sightlanders? Well, because I met with Neil de Beer. How does that betray you? Because you don't like Neil de Beer? Well, that's in your head, not in my head. He's a newsworthy figure. And look at it now. Biz News, every time he shows up, they get 150,000 views on his videos. People want to hear it. They want to hear what he's got to say. Why do people want to hear what Neil de Beer's got to say? Because he's newsworthy. Why do people want to hear what John Schlope's got to say? Because he's newsworthy as the senior member of the caucus for MK right now. So it's newsworthy. And that's why I cover it. Why do I talk to panel beaters in South Africa and interview them on my channel? Or beauty salon owners? Or Macadamia Nut Association? Or poultry farmers? Because it's newsworthy. People don't have the ability to discern things. As an audio engineer, I work with some famous people. Many of my friends think that I'm friends with these people, but in reality, professional. Exactly, Emery. Exactly. I can tell you unequivocally, I'm not friends with John Steenhuisen. He doesn't like me. And his distaste is unwarranted, but that's his prerogative. Yeah. One doesn't have to be friends with everyone they interact with. Exactly, Emery, but people can't make that distinction. They can't make that distinction. Anyway, it's comical. And also, you've got dishonest people out there, too, so that's part of the whole situation. But, it's whatever. It is what it is. I know that's a trite phrase, but it is what it is. And to me, it's just comical. The personal insults, the attacks, the juvenile behavior of posters. You can disagree with someone. But folks, go to the video on Citizen Concern and look at the comments. Only a small portion of them do people disagree with me on facts. But oftentimes, even those are wrong. They disagree, saying that I misunderstood what she said. Okay, that's fair. That's their opinion. But they're wrong. I didn't misunderstand. They're saying that she was just telling him he should be careful about what he says. That's not what the purpose of the video was. The purpose of the video was to expose him as a right-wing extremist. In her own words, that's what she called him. Rather gratuitously. And she crafted a narrative, including taking clips of his biography that he was born in Orania. What does Orania have to do with this conversation? Because she wants you to believe he's an exclusionist, that he doesn't only wants Afrikaners to be only Afrikaners, nobody around. Never heard him say that. Now, that may be in his heart, but I've never seen outward expression of it. So what evidence do I have to claim that? Again, I've been known on this channel for saying the following. I don't think that Julius Malema is actually a racist. People say he's a racist. Yeah, I know, Emery. I know. But that's she showed that. So I didn't even go into the fact that that's fake information. I got you, Emery. I know, because the date when Iranian was started. I got you. And how old he is. He's in his late 30s or early 40s. I got you. I'm not making the point. You're correct. But I didn't even go in there. There's no point in going there because people will quibble about it. But anyway, I lost track where I was going with that. Sorry. I shouldn't have looked over at the chat. Anyway, so yeah, but they were attacking me. Oh yeah, so she said what she said. I quoted her verbatim. I offered an so here's the other thing. She said that he in AfriForum, he's not even with AfriForum. He used to be with AfriForum. He's now with the Solidarity Movement, which is the umbrella organization above AfriForum. So he's gone up in the organization. But that distinction seems lost on South Africans who want to attack Answer. Not a hard thing to figure out. You can ask him. You can contact AfriForum. You can contact Solidarity, or you can go online and look and see that that's actually what's happened. So she threw AfriForum in there saying that they only care about Afrikaners. Well, that's not true. It's simply not true. If you watched, almost nobody watched my interview with Lambert de Klerk about South Africa's water situation. AfriForum is concerned about water and water quality, not for Afrikaners, but for all South Africans. Watch my video. Hendo, put the link up there. And I drew that out. I asked that question, made that point. But that seems lost. That's not enough. That doesn't work. So the next thing that happened was she said that they don't care. I said, well, AfriForum has told people publicly, and they've published when they've worked with black tribes in South Africa, small tribes of minorities who feel they're not getting treated fairly by the government. They've offered them advice. If you don't believe that, contact AfriForum, ask them about that, see if they confirm what I said. And if you don't believe the name of the groups they said they talked to, then contact those groups. Contact them. Feel free to contact. Ask those groups, did AfriForum offer you this advice? Did this happen? Is it true? Don't just say it isn't true. Don't say they don't care about anybody. That's not true. That's lazy. So that's, anyway. But then people, again, almost no comments were substance. In fact, let me go look at them now because now I'm all curious. Let me see what comments have come up because that video has gotten a lot of comments. So videos, that one's got 255 comments. Let me take a look at some of those comments. Let me go to comments and... okay. Now, someone says, I like her too, but I was confused about her comments, which is what I said. Well, these ones are actually pretty good. Okay, here's a black guy said, thanks. Thanks, we're being called names in South African just by wanting South Africa first. I'm not moved by being called xenophobic. Okay, so this guy's agreeing with my video on the Home Affairs Minister. So this guy, King Dagiso, says, Afrikaners don't see themselves equal to Africans. Afrikaners don't see anything wrong with apartheid. Where do you get that from? Afrikaners ended apartheid. That is the most asinine statement ever. Seriously, where do these idiots get this from? King Saidzo, where do you get this horse shit from? Afrikaners don't see themselves equal to Africans? Where do you get that from? And Afrikaners don't see anything wrong with apartheid. It was Afrikaners who ended it. It's kind of like the stupid argument, well, white people are racist in America and they don't want immigration. Excuse me. Hello? 1960s. Who was in Congress? Who was the president? Was it a black woman? No. Was it an Arab Congress? No. Was it Hispanic Senate? No. Virtually everybody in the House of Representatives, in the Senate, and the president were old white men. They changed the immigration system, which came up the quota system, which let people come from all over the world. 80%, 85% of the people who come to this country in the last 50 years are people of color. Who approved that? Old white men. And oh, by the way, it wasn't Democrats. It was Republicans. and some Democrats. This is stupid. Afrikaners don't see anything wrong with apartheid. Really? Where do you get this from? Where do you get this from? 62% of white South Africans voted to end the system as it was, which meant dismantle apartheid in 1992. 62% of whites. So Afrikaners don't see anything wrong with apartheid? Are you a moron? Black people still learn Afrikaans in school by force. What? No, they don't. Where? Where are black South Africans being forced to learn Afrikaans? Afrikaners don't want to leave with other tribes. I think he says live with other tribes. And the Zulu do? Strange. Afrikaners are spread out everywhere. They live amongst black people everywhere. They're dependent on black people everywhere. All the farms I visit in Northwest have black farm workers and white farm workers. But the farms wouldn't succeed without the labor of the people who work there for the farmers. What do you mean they don't want to live with people? Every neighborhood I go, have you been to Santon City's mall? 75% of the people in the mall are black. But white people don't want to live with them? Stop. Afrikaners are not from South Africa. You are settlers. Well, that's racist. They're not settlers. They didn't come and settle there. Some of these families been there for 400 years, nearly 400 years. Afrikaners originally from the West, and Ernst is totally, I have no idea what this, the guy didn't finish it. Yeah, see, that's the kind of nonsense, juvenile stupidity you come across. What else we got here? Someone liked the t-shirt. Okay. Not too many. Okay. What else we got here? Oh, people are commenting the other video. Anyway, yeah, I'm not going to find. I'm getting mostly positive comments coming in now, but not many people are watching that video. This channel is heavily suppressed. Just 6,700, I think it is. 6,900 now. Yeah, 6,900 views. So just hardly any viewers on that. But thanks to the 6,900 took the time to do it. But the Gulam story, I thought that might get people's attention. Only 782 viewers. I'm a bit surprised by that. And I've got a dislike. Of course I got a dislike. It's that one clown who's always self-pleasuring himself. Anyway, in January 2017, resigned from his position as prosecutor of the MPA, joining AfriForum with the aim of setting up a private prosecution unit. Are you talking about Harry Nell? What I understood from her video, she wants enforced association set up. Exactly. Thank you. I didn't even say that, Emery. You're spot on. She wants people to, you must be part of the Rainbow Nation. But the Constitution guarantees cultural protection. Why must you be part of anything? If people want to associate with themselves, that's their business as long as they follow the law. I don't make the Amish, and I did that in my video too. I talked about the Amish. I don't make the Amish go to my church. I don't make the Amish drive Toyotas. I don't make the Amish do anything. They're law-abiding. They protect their culture, their language, their faith. Let them be. Why Fundenbeck says, I would like to know why the ANC, MK, and EFF are so threatened by a white minority. They are way ahead in the head counts. Why are they so afraid? BE is a racist law against. It is. It exactly is. And I pointed that out in the story too. And yes, to her credit, she complains about BE. But she's, as Emery just hit the nail on the head, that video, without stating it clearly, she is implying that you must conform. You must be part of something. But then she ignores. So here's the one that I found most interesting in that video. She says, Julius Malema, we know what he stands for. He advocates for black people. I don't agree with that. I think he advocates for himself and his caters. But anyway, that's my opinion. I can't state that for fact with evidence. I just point to actions. She says, we know what Julius Malema stands for. He stands for black people. And she implies that that's okay. And then she says, but Ernst Rhodes stands only for Afrikaners. That's tribalism, isn't it? She laughs. I'm a little confused there. A little confused. How is it okay for Julius Malema to advocate for people based on skin pigmentation for favor and advantage, which is racist, but it's not okay for someone to comply with the Constitution and protect their language and culture by forming a cultural association group, because that's tribalism. So if you're saying that, then you're admitting what many black South African black supremacists, and she's not one of them. She's not one of those people. She seems like a very decent person. But black supremacists and ANC in South Africa say that the Afrikaners are not a tribe, that they're not Africans. But she's saying they are a tribe. They're committing tribalism. Where I live, we have two different kinds of societal divisions, and I never want to associate with people who are not like me. No one can force me to. There you go, Emery. Look, I have lived in Muslim countries. I have practiced the tenets of Ramadan during Ramadan when I lived in a Muslim country out of solidarity with my classmates at the L'École d'État-Major, the staff college. But I don't go to mosque. I don't hang out with Muslims. I don't go to ball games with Muslims or Hindi or Native Americans, mostly because there's no Native Americans around here. But and I should be forced to do that? She says, we don't hear from the Republican Party. We are Irish. We're Black American. Well, actually, we do from Black American. We do have culture. We have the log cabin Republicans. That's a gay Republican group. So they can't have a gay Republican group? I have no problem with the log cabin Republicans existing. That's their prerogative. As long as they're not harming other people, what's the problem? Yeah. Well, you're in Turkey. There's plenty of mosques to go to. So, the whole video didn't make any sense. And it's in stark contrast to what she usually does. Now, someone alluded to without saying that she also did a video on Ronaldo, and they had a problem with that. I haven't watched her video on Ronaldo because I don't want to watch it. It's a topic I don't really care to talk about until the court case is solved, because it's really annoying that it's even a court case. Look, bad judgment, foul language, inappropriate. Also 16 years ago, and also not the video that was presented to the public. It was an altered video, and that's the problem I had with it, because it was dishonest. If it had been published in its original context and people had objection to it, I could see that from the standpoint I just mentioned. But anyway, so I've watched a lot of her content, and she's the shiny new thing on the street. So if AfriForum or any of their associated organizations were to be funded by public money, there would be an issue. But private individuals fund AfriForum. Exactly. So what's the issue? What is the issue? People freely give their money to the organization. If they're not happy with it, then they should talk to AfriForum. Yep, or Solidarity. My 5 pence says, we did not ask him to represent us. He's representing himself and his new group. Well, Garrett, I don't agree with that at all. I don't know why you think that Ernst Rhodes is representing you. I don't see that. I mean, that's a matter of interpretation. That's the point she was making. Who is he to represent Afrikaners? So who should represent Afrikaners? Again, let's just run through the history of Afrikaners. They're not Dutch. They're African. As a consequence of Dutch, French Huguenot, Germans, Strandlopers, Khoi and San intermixing, and you have a group known as the Afrikaners, who developed over the course of a few centuries. Who should represent them? I get 10 Afrikaners in a room, and I get 12 wannabe leaders and 45 opinions on which direction people should go. So who should represent Afrikaners? Should it be the Boer Legion, the Zeitlanders, Gustav Müller? Who should it be? There are groups that represent German Americans, but they don't represent me. But I don't have a beef with that. Cabello says I'm lying. Really, I'm lying? That's a strong statement. Please do enlighten us. How am I lying? I was going to end the program, but I want to hear how I'm lying now. Wow, Cabello, I didn't call you a liar. So what am I lying about? And please type your answer very quickly before I launch into something, because I'm ready to do that. AfriForum has non-Afrikaner members. That's true, Emery. They do, but not me. Yep. Way too many chiefs and way too few Indians. Exactly right. That's been the history of the Afrikaners. Way too many chiefs, way too few Indians. Yep. Everyone's got to be in charge. Everyone's a general. Francois, are you saying Steve Hofmeyer should represent the Afrikaners? I think a lot of Afrikaners would disagree. Many would agree. Yeah, Garrett has a German club and a fraternity for engineers, and he's part of both of those things. So, Cabello, I'm waiting for your response. Are you still typing? I can't see that, so I just have to wait for your response. We used to have the church and state rule us in the past. Many of us are averse to that system. I want meritocracy regardless of creed or color. Well, Paul, I don't disagree. I'm all about meritocracy, 100%. That's a gentleman named Panul was a member at some point. I didn't know Panul was part of AfriForum. That's interesting. Apparently, some Afrikaners have Khoi San DNA. Yes, they do, Robert. Is that what Cabello is telling me I'm lying about? Are you trying to tell me? I don't know, Cabello. You're leaving me here to speculate because you called me a liar, but you haven't said why. Are you disputing the fact that Afrikaners have African DNA? Is that what you're disputing? Because we'll blow that out of the water. Up to 10% of the genome of most Afrikaners is African of recent origin in the past 4 centuries. That's a fact. That's why this whole white, brown, and color thing is ridiculous to begin with. That's right. I know Afrikaners have colored genes. Fact. 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 It's not hard to figure out. Thankfully, you have DNA. Yeah, that is normal. It's bound to be intermixing. Of course, Emery. So but Cabello's left it here. Cabello, I'm going to give you another chance here. It's been now how long since you said that? That was 2:50, 58, 59. And now it's, it's just a minute ago. So I'll give you more time to answer. Tangent, your clock behind you is exactly in sync. When my phone ticked over 2100, went to 1500. Well, Heinz, you've got, it's been hard. Here it is. It's been hard to keep that thing up because I had to change it once or twice. I don't think it does a good job, so it's working right now. Okay, Cabela says, I'm talking about Afrikaner. They came from Dutch collecting species. No. You don't have to trust me. Go to the Western Cape. Go to Franschhoek. Do you think Franschhoek was a name made up? Well, okay, let's call this place over here the French Corner. It's only settled by the Dutch, but we'll call it the French Corner. Franschhoek. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, so you think Hofmeyr is a Dutch name? You think Hofmeyr is a Dutch name? Let's look at the Springboks today. Where's my sheet at? Let's see if we have any Germans in there, okay? All right. Reinach. That's not Dutch. That's German. Wessels. That's not Dutch. That's German. Roos. That's Dutch. Morat. That's Dutch. Dutoy, that's French, not Dutch. Vandenberg, that's Dutch. Horn, that's German. So, Cabello, you call me a liar because you don't agree with the truth? You know, it's okay to say you're wrong, but to call me a liar, see, that's ridiculous. I'm not lying. It's a statement of fact. A statement of fact. The Afrikaners are the mutts of Africa. That's not meant as an insult. Van der Merwe is Dutch. That's not an insult. Statement of fact. They're the mutts of Africa. They're a mix of everything. Drop in a Bucket says, I'm half German, half Khoi, and proud Afrikaner. All right, drop in a bucket. I didn't know you're colored. English used to call us Dutchmen as a derogatory term. Exactly. And we still hear today. Go back to the Netherlands. Stupid stuff. Ladies and gentlemen, by DNA, the Dutch portion of DNA in those who are Afrikaners is only about 34%, 35%. Over 40% of the DNA of Afrikaners is German. Labaskakni is French. It's not Labaskakni. Now, Cabello says, sorry, man. Cabello, it's cool. It's cool. I'm okay. You notice I didn't lose my mind. That's why I ask. You can tell me I'm wrong. Don't say I lie. That's powerful language. I don't lie. I have no reason to lie to anybody here. Why would I lie? What do I gain from that? Nothing. Lying undermines credibility. My credibility is impeccable, and I prefer to keep it that way. I'm not lying. I could be mistaken or wrong. Those things are possible. Those things are possible. No, the solution, I don't know what that is, Emery. It's okay, Cabello. Thank you for the apology. Not necessary, but please don't call people liars. Now, I did call the gentleman who said, that about me, he said that I'm a close friend of Ernst Roets, and then he said that I support Cape Independence. I said, you lie. I was in short time, because those are lies. They aren't misstatements, they're lies. He wasn't talking about facts and got the facts wrong. He was making a claim that was simply untrue. He came back and modified his language, and to which I apologize. If you find that comment on the Citizen Concern video, you'll see that I came back and apologized. I said, my apologies for the quick response. You've changed your language, and you're basically not you're not lying anymore, but you're mistaken. I said you're wrong. Yeah. So anyway. Well, here's the other thing, Garrett. In that video, she said that, that he wants to protect Afrikaners. He identifies as an Afrikaner, not as an African. And she used the fact that he used the term Westerner to claim he didn't identify as an African. Well, identifying as an African is very different than identifying as a South African. I've never heard Ernst Roets not identify as South African. As I said, when I traveled all over the Maryland, D.C. area with them on Sunday, taking them around, introducing the people, showing them places of note, the Naval Academy, the Inner Harbor, the state legislature in Annapolis, the Eastern Shore, every person whom they met heard their accents and asked where they're from, and Ernst Roots said, I'm South African. But she claimed he says he's not South African. Well, I know that'd be factually wrong because I just seen him do it. Just seen him do it. That's her assumption. And it's an invalid assumption. Right. Garrett, she didn't understand his aim. Or she didn't care. And I'm beginning to wonder if she didn't care because the way this thing was, the narrative was put in there. He was born in Orania. The Freedom Front Plus and Cape Independence and recognized. Orania is recognized. It's a private corporation. It has a license. It operates under South African law. Why is that so complicated for people to understand? Because white people are there? That's racist. That's racist. It's bigotry. Now, I'm not attributing it to her. Do not infer that. I'm not saying that about her. Now, she seems like a very decent person who makes some great content. But this was simply wrong. When I walk out of the English suburb of Pinelands towards public transport on Fort Track Road, I refer to myself as a pavement special on my way to the... that's funny. I have no idea what Gypsy Backpackers is talking about there. Olivier is French. Yep. Spencer Young is English. My sons are mixed breeds. There you go. Mutts. And Robert says, we're all settlers. Of course we're all settlers. That's the story of humankind. And that's what's so irritating. There's a couple of narratives here. Racism and slavery are a Western invention. That's a lie. It's a human invention. And it predates Western civilization by millennia. And in Africa, it predates Western civilization by millennia. It was black Africans in West Africa who sold black Africans into slavery based on their tradition of warring competition and taking slaves for millennia, selling them to the Arabs for 1,400 years before the first Europeans ever bought a slave from the only two willing black Africans in West Africa to sell them other black Africans. 1,400 years. Here's the thing. Is North Africa inhabited by a large population of black individuals? No. But no one talks about that. You know why Tunisia doesn't have a significant black population? You would assume that they must not have ever had any black slaves. Well, that's not true. That's not even remotely true. There were lots of black slaves brought there by the Arabs. Lots. Thousands brought to Tunisia and Libya and Algeria and Egypt and the Levant. But they were all castrated, so they couldn't reproduce. In America, they weren't castrated. They were allowed to reproduce because it was more profitable. So we have a black population of about 12% of our population. Much of it descended from people who were brought over as slaves, but not exclusively. Almost all of it's descended from, ready for this, white folks. Most African Americans have more European DNA than they have African DNA. Most. There are exceptions, but most. There you go. There you go. Oh, but it was all forced. No, that's a lie. It's a lie. Watch Who Do You Think You Are? The episode with Vanessa Williams, the former Miss America, who made lesbian photographs and had to rescind her title, became an actress and a top music performer. Very attractive woman, very light brown skin, blue eyes, real blue eyes, not contact lenses. Vanessa Williams. Watch that episode. And her great-great-grandparents lived in Oyster Bay on Long Island in New York. They appeared in the 1850 census, which is an important date in American history because it's the first modern census. A modern census means that everyone is enumerated by name. So prior to 1850, the 1840, the 1830, the 1820, the 1810, the 1800, 1790 census would say the head of household, so Chris Wyatt, then it would have adult females, one spouse, then it would have children, female, age 10 to 15, 3, males, 2, and so on down the list. Only one person was named. Slaves weren't named. Women weren't named. Children weren't named. Only the head of household. And if the head of household was a woman, then she was named until 1850. In 1850, every person was enumerated. And there was a slave schedule. Every slave was enumerated by name, where they lived. In the 1850 census, Vanessa Williams, great-great-grandparents, they showed her the census. It also identified race, which is bullshit. There's no such thing as race. But anyway, whatever. Call it ethnicity. Her great-great-grandfather, mulatto. So he was colored. Her great-great-grandmother, white. So a black man was knocking boots with a white woman in 1850, living their life perfectly fine in Long Island, New York, in Oyster Bay. Oh, such a long history of racism. Everybody is affected by it. Stop. And it's the same thing in the Western Cape. Well, the only reason that there's African blood in the Afrikaners is because they raped all the women. Yeah, that happened. Drunks rape women. Criminals rape women. But many of these unions were voluntary. Kind of like the guy I know in Botswana who was married to, he's South African, married to a white woman, had 4 kids. They got divorced. He remarried a younger woman who was black. And now he has 4 mixed race kids. They all have his surname, an Afrikaans surname. So he's got 4 white kids, 4 biracial kids. And that's how it happens. It wasn't rape. It was a voluntary union. Anyway, such is the world. People just don't want to accept it. Okay, so hang on a second there. There's a lot of white South Africans that have a lot of Khoisan blood. Oh, yeah, there's quite a few. Some come by ship, some come by foot. The Great Trek. English, Dutch, German, Danish, and Jew, as far as I know. I don't know much Jewish influence in the Afrikaners. The Jews came much later, for the most part, coming in the 19th century, and mostly associated with themselves. I'm sure there's some mixing there. But you get people like Helen Zilla. She's Jewish. People don't assume that, but she's Jewish. So Michel says, Isaac Matubula says, Irania may be on private farm, but given our history, it's rather entrenching racial exclusivity and undermining the gains of non-racial society. Isaac, I appreciate your sentiment and thank you for your thoughts, but I don't agree with, I agree there's a perception that's doing that. I don't agree it's actually doing it. It's not racially exclusive. We need to dismiss that right now. First off, it's not all white. It's 97% white. That's heavily white. But then the Inganyoma Trust is what, 97, 99% black? Is that entrenching racial divisions? Alexandria is overwhelmingly black. Is that entrenching interracial? Is that? Go to the exclusive neighborhoods where the ANC cadres live around Santon. They're almost all black. Is that entrenching racial division? I don't agree with that, Isaac. We have a difference of opinion there, and I appreciate your opinion. Thank you for it. Undermining the gains of what gains of non-racial society? The racial exclusion of white people based on racist laws by the ANC? What gain is there there? There were gains under Mandela when people tried from all sides, and people are still trying from all sides. This division is artificial. It's only mostly amongst politicians and media who seek it for gain. I know black South Africans. I know white South Africans. I know colored South Africans. Most of them don't give a flip about what other people look like. And Irania isn't entrenching racial divisions. You can live there. You can live there. There are hundreds of thousands of black South Africans whose first language is Afrikaans and who are Dutch Calvinist. If they want to live there, they can go there. Now, if a first language Afrikaans speaker who's a Dutch Calvinist who happens to be black, say he's a Tswana, applies to live at Orania and they refuse him, then you can make the claim that they're racially exclusive. But until it happens, that's not a true statement. It's not a true statement. The majority of people who speak Afrikaans and who are Dutch Calvinists in South Africa are colored. But most reasonable people don't want to live in Orania. It's in the middle of freaking nowhere. And they bought that land, Chris. Clean town, according to videos, Orania. Cabello, I don't understand what you're saying. Are you saying two things they did? Yes, they did buy the land. And then they bought more land later on. It's a corporation, and you have to live by the bylaws. I live in a housing development, and we have a homeowners association, which I don't really care for, but it does take care of the snow removal and other things like that, and the street repairs and stuff like that. But I have to pay every year. The home association has rules. I can't put a shed in my backyard unless it matches the color of my house and it has certain dimensions, and I pay for a concrete pad to mount it on. Well, I'm not paying for a concrete pad. I just want to put a shed out there to put my lawnmower in, but I can't do it because it violates homeowners rules. Is that fair? No, but those are the rules. I chose to live here. I have to live by the rules. As simple as that. That's what Orania is. You choose to live there, you have to live by the rules. Simple as that. Well, Isaac, I didn't say the Inganyoma Trust excluded based on race, and neither does Orania. Where is your evidence that Orania excludes people on race? And Isaac, this is a good conversation. I want you to prove to me, show me where it says you can't live in Orania if you're not white. Please, somebody show me, anybody in the chat, show me that. Show me that. You can't, because it's not true. So your point is valid, but it's the same point about Orania. Orania doesn't exclude people based on race. That's a myth. That's a lie perpetrated by racists and liars. Not you, Isaac. Not you. But the reason people believe that is because the racist liars tell people that. It's the same reason, like, people like, why don't you go to Orania? Why would I go to Orania? I don't have anything in common with those people. I'm not an Afrikaner. I'm not Dutch Calvinist. And I don't want to live in the middle of nowhere. Why would I go there? Although Yus Stridham has invited me to come back. Anyway. What's that? Alcock. On the evening late in September, Neil Alcock was returning from a meeting at Tugela Ferry, which was designed to bring peace between warring factions in the Tembu tribe. His vehicle was ambushed, and he and 5 other men were killed. Well, that's long before the Inganyoma Trust was founded. That's a long time ago. The crackling hens on The View and Joyless Read losing their time. Oh, are they? I'm sure they are. Emery says, said this before, I don't understand why people get angry. Most people don't want Afrikaners around, but get angry. Exactly. Isn't that the most rich thing, Emery? And I'm not attributing to my people in my program or the chat right now, so don't anybody infer that. But you're right. Oh, colonizers, settlers, they're not Africans. We don't want them here. Whoa, they're going and living by themselves and not disturbing anybody. They can't have that. That's not Rainbow Nation. Wait a second. You don't want them here, but then when they move away by themselves, they can't be by themselves. What do you want? Them just dead or disappear? Yes, that's what many people want. Isaac says, let's all live together. Yeah, let's live together. Isaac, does anybody ever wondered why I promote Nu? Does anybody know that I promote Nu? I don't speak it. Anybody know that? Has anyone ever heard me mention Katarina Esau on this program? Anybody? Put your hand up. You ever heard me say it? Anybody? Why would I promote Katarina Esau and the new language? Am I getting paid to do that? No. Do I have family members that are speaking Nu? No, because only one person speaks it left in the world that we know of. Why? Because I care about language and I care about culture and people. And it's a culture that's going extinct. It needs to be protected. Somebody must do something. The state is doing nothing to protect the new language. I'm not saying the state should, but in this case, it wouldn't be bad if someone helped out. Hey, Chantel, how's it going? First Englishman to live in the Inganyoma Trust. Oh, wait, that was a long time ago before it was actually the trust. Emery says, I reckon some people, not all, when they talk about association, what they really want is whites working for the welfare of others. Well, a lot of whites do that. Elsa from Milan says, Van Riebeck brought Boers to South Africa slaves, a must read. None of them were governors. I'm not sure where you're going with that, Elsa. Van Riebeck was colored. It was part South Asian. Never be allowed to live in Orania, but I'm not against. Exactly, Emery. Neither you or I can live in Orania. Can't live there. Can't live there. Racial integration is a must in South Africa. No, it's not, Isaac. It's not. It's not. Racial harmony. Racial harmony is a must. Racial harmony, not racial integration. Why, so people should be swamped? We should all be the same? What's wrong with being Tswana, Bafokeng? What is wrong with being Baralong? What is wrong with being Venda? What is wrong with being Kosa? What is wrong with being San? Nothing. Every group should be able to protect their culture and their language. and they should live where they want to live. If they want to live amongst other people like them, there's nothing wrong with that. I live in a county that's 96% white. Not because I want to be around white people, just because that's where I settled because I worked at the War College. And that happened to be the demographics here. And I have a problem with that. I lived in a housing project with 300 families in Crownsville, Maryland when I was a kid. 3 were white, 297 were black. I had a problem with that. I lived in a poor part of Buffalo, New York as a kid, where everyone in my class spoke Spanish because they were Puerto Rican. So what? I'm a white guy, doesn't speak Spanish. Speaks 6 languages, but not Spanish. And then I went to a high school in rural Appalachia in southeast Ohio, where everybody was white. Not because black people were excluded, because they weren't stupid enough to live in a desperately poor part of the country with values that didn't align with theirs. They can live where they want to live. It's natural for people to gather together and have a common ideology. Yep. I lived in Swaziland for a long time. Never told them that they should integrate with me. I respect their culture. Exactly, Emery. Exactly. I lived in Tunisia. And in Tunisia, I would drive to the Carrefour department store that they opened up and take the back way because the traffic was so bad. And I drive down the street, not far from Carrefour, coming from the north to south, and then turn left to go east. And there was a Catholic church there in Tunisia because it used to have a significant Catholic population. But there were no Catholics there anymore. It's now a police station. Still has the bell in it and everything. Obviously, it was a Catholic church. That's sacrilege, using a church for a police station. Did I lose my mind? No. It's not my country. Not my place. Not my culture. I just dealt with it. No, Cabela, I don't think you're trying to insult anybody. I didn't know what was said, but I don't think you're trying to insult it. We've got some good chat going here tonight. You guys are doing great, and I've stayed much longer than I intended. You guys are awesome on a Saturday. I wasn't going to do this broadcast. I was going to do quick news, but this is turning into a lovely conversation. Thank you for everybody jumping in here. Nobody can accuse us of being inbreds. No one said inbred. Mongrel's different. Mutt is different than inbred. Inbred means, is my wife my sister? Is my wife, she's my sister. That's inbred. But I'm white and my wife is black. That's not inbred. That's mixing. Many Swazi customs disagree with, says Emery. Yeah, well, I disagree with female genital mutilation, but I'm not in Yemen trying to stop it. I will stop it in America, because it's offensive and it's a criminal act and it's abuse of a child endangerment. But that's because that's our morals and values here. Yeah, maybe this new world should first learn to not hate someone's neighbors before focusing on loving them. Robert voted yes in 92, and a few years later denied promotions because of affirmative action. Yeah, well, it's exactly. No, look, the problem here is the perception of white people in South Africa. Like I read the comments from Jen earlier, Afrikaners see nothing wrong with apartheid. Seriously? Well, then why does 62% of white South Africans, the majority of whom at the time were Afrikaners, vote to end the system as it was? Because it was unjust and it wasn't sustainable. So how can Afrikaners, and how can you speak for 2.8 million Afrikaners? I don't speak for 2.8 million Afrikaners. Steve Hofmeyer doesn't speak for 2.8 million Afrikaners. Alfred Forbes doesn't speak for 2.8 million Afrikaners. And that's the crux of this issue. I think LMI5 Pence was saying earlier that, Ernst Rhodes doesn't speak for me. Well, yeah, he doesn't speak for you. He speaks for the people that sign up to AfriForum. Coexistence is and respect is the solution, not racial integration. Yeah, there's no need for racial integration. There's no need for religious integration. Muslims can be Muslims. Christians can be Christians. Sikhs can be Sikhs. I have no problem with that, as long as that doesn't harm other people or violate our laws. Yeah, that's right, Robert. That's why there's so many white South African entrepreneurs. But even entrepreneurs struggle because they're denied contracts with the government because they don't have enough people to satisfy the government's pigmentation scheme. Hester's got to go. Well, I'm going to go a little bit longer, then I'll wrap up. Folks, remember apartheid, spatial planning, Iranian underpins. Nah, okay. See, Isaac. Now you're making false assumptions here and false dichotomies. Nope. Apartheid spatial planning existed. People were moved. District 6 is a perfect example. But it wasn't occupied by white people. It's largely vacant today in the heart of Cape Town. District 6 is largely empty. I don't know why it's ever been developed. That's just asinine. But yes, people were moved. But the spatial planning is something that's, that's not entirely true. That's a partial truth. That's part of it. But quite frankly, people live places because they can't afford to live other places. Alexandra Alexandra in Joburg isn't a black slum. It isn't a township. It's where white people lived when Johannesburg was founded, away from the mines. Almost everybody lived there was white or Jewish. Almost everybody when it was founded, during the height of the gold mining. So what happened in Alexandria? It was too far away from the action. So people built closer to the action. And who lived there when those people moved? Poor people, black people, because they couldn't afford to live in the more expensive places. That wasn't apartheid. That wasn't spatial planning. That was happenstance. Why did black people live in the Cape Flats? Because they were pushed there? No, because they occupy the land that no one wants because they don't have any money. But yes, spatial planning, and District 6 is a good example of it, and land taken away from black South Africans, but land was also taken away from white South Africans to create Bophuthatswana. So this is a much more complicated story than people want to admit. And you have to be honest here. You have to be honest here. And blaming people in 2024 for actions in 1960 is illegitimate, unless they were complicit in those actions. It's illegitimate. Aranya does not underpin spatial planning. It doesn't. Again, Isaac, you can't seem to accept the truth. Isaac, do you speak Afrikaans? Is it your first language? I doubt that, given your name is Matubula. It's not impossible. There are plenty of black South Africans whose first language is Afrikaans, despite the fact that they have a Nguni-speaking or Bantu name. I can't live in Aranya. How is that underpinning spatial segregation or spatial? It doesn't. It doesn't. I'm not an Afrikaner. I'm not Dutch Calvinist. Simple as that. Ernst just said what I just said. Ernst, whites were also displaced. Yes, Northwest province in the old Transvaal, white farmers who'd been there for 2 centuries, their families, their land was taken from them. Now, most of them were compensated. Many were moved to KZN and were given farms down there. But it doesn't change the fact that they were dispossessed and they were moved from places they were from. It affected all kinds of people. And by the way, when these things were set up, the implication here, the statement is that exclusivity only affected black people. It affected coloreds, it affected Indians, and it affected white people. White people couldn't live where they wanted to live. They could only live in places where white people were allowed to live. That's a statement of fact. Right, Aranya has a development and zoning plan, but it has nothing to do with apartheid-style segregation. No, it has to do with leadership and vision for where that city is going to go in the future. They think they're going to have 1 million people there. I think they're delusional. There's not going to be 1 million people in Aranya in my lifetime. They think so. They've got, 3,000 there now after 30 years. They're not going to get to 1 million people anytime soon, but they have a plan. Okay, so Isaac does know Afrikaans, at least a bit anyway. Cool beans. Well, thank you for sharing that. I'm looking for something here real quick. Give me a second. This is going much longer than I intended. But this is my Saturday. I wasn't planning on doing this, guys. It's so funny. But, when you have a good Lekka conversation go, why would you want to stop? Yeah. What did you say? You said something in Afrikaans. Let me get back to that. Whites are displaced as a result of part. Okay. There. Isaac said, Ek probeer net, maar vandag nie meneer. Ye is verkeerd. No, I'm not verkeerd. I'm factual and I'm correct. You just disagree, Isaac, and you're unwilling to consider the alternatives. No one's provided me proof of what I said is being untrue. You can't progress when people are unwilling to accept the truth. Also, when you point out the hypocrisy of places that are black only, and nobody has an issue with that. I don't have an issue with that. If Zulu want to live among Zulu, unless they intentionally exclude me. If I want to move to the Nganyoma Trust and I'm denied that because I'm not black or I'm not Zulu, well, that's not fair, is it? Well, of course it's fair. I'm not Zulu. It's a Zulu Cultural Association. They should be able to do what they want to do. Anyway. Yeah, and so dropping a bucket, that's the other thing. Orania was nothing. Nothing. In the middle of nowhere. Why are people so upset about it? It's in the middle of nowhere. And if you meet their standards, you can join them. If you want to live in the middle of nowhere. Frankly, I'd rather live in Somerset West or Pretoria. But that's just me. And you know why I want to live in Pretoria? Why I would want to live in Pretoria? Anybody want to guess why I want to live in Pretoria? No, it's not the Bulls. Trust me, it's not the Bulls. Because it's in the Highveld. Winters are mild. Summers are tolerable. The people are fascinating. Afrikaans, English, and Tswana are predominant there. Heart of Afrikanerdom, too. Yep. And Somerset West, because I just really like Somerset West. Easier access to Biltong. Cabello says you should tell us more about the history of Southern Africa since you mentioned Botswana. Well, Cabello, I've told people tons about it. You must be new to the channel. I've talked about it endlessly. I've talked about the Doorsland Trek. I've talked about the migration of the Nguni-speaking peoples south of the Zambezi, the Limpopo River. I've talked about the history of Botswana, the Dikosi, who sought protection, and how it became a protectorate, and it was the only country in Africa never colonized, Bechuanaland. I've talked about endlessly. I've talked about the history of the Khama family. I've talked about the history of German Southwest Africa, Deutsche Südwestafrika, und auch unter Südafrikanische Administration. I've talked about all that. I've talked about Angola. I've talked about Mozambique. I made videos about Namibia. I made videos about Botswana. I made videos about Zimbabwe. Talked about the Ndebele and the Shona and Mzilikazi and the Jameson raid. I've talked about all these things, Cabello. You just you haven't been here, brother. You haven't been here. Oh, you're interested because you're born 1998. Well, you're a very young person there. Okay, cool beans. 98? Wow. MSNBC and Kraken Hens are trying to create false equivalencies. Yeah. Well, look, they've already tried to tell us. Was it Joyless Reed who said Joe Biden has COVID? Donald Trump got shot. That's the same thing. It's not the same thing. But yeah, Cabello, thanks for your interest in that. Botswana is a fascinating place. Now, I'll cover this real quick before I leave because we're 2 hours. You're going to have to come back for more stuff. Cabello, thank you for subscribing and being here. Isaac is laughing at something that Myra said. What did Myra say? Oh, Isaac is laughing at what Myra said. Why? Because she said it's true. Afrikaans was first written in Arabic, not in European script. Yeah. It was first written in Arabic, the Afrikaans language. First time it was written down. That's a statement of fact. That's true. That's true. Which goes back to the fact that Afrikaans has 7 origins. Some of them African, some of them South Asian, some of them European. That's why the Afrikaans Tal Monument has 7 spires on it. Anyway, so what was I going to? I was going to talk about. Oh, God bless it. Senior moment there. Get distracted by that. The Botswana thing. My point is still that Oranje reminds black people of apartheid. Well, yes, Isaac, that's a true false perception. That's in people's heads. That's because they want to be in heads. So do the same people that have that impression have objections to white Afrikaners going to church in Pretoria, in Howick, in Durban, in Cape Town, in Geberge on Sunday, in a church that's predominantly occupied by white people? Is that problematic? Anyway, I forgot what I was talking about, so come back. Winters in mild Pretoria. It does not snow, but we have freezing winter this year. Well, Chantel, I love the weather there. Anyway, all right, guys, I'm going to wrap it up here. I lost my point there. It's over 2 hours. It's awesome. It's great. Thanks for popping in here, Isaac. Cabello also. And thank you for your interest, Cabello. We can talk a lot about that. I'm a historian, and Africa is one of my subject matter areas. So, yep, I'm happy to. Europe is another, America is the third one. True false perception. That's sadistic, sir. No. What? See, Isaac, you're not listening. You're not listening. Why do you choose to be willfully not listening? It's a false perception that reinforces something that's not true. You just can't get your head around that. And I've yet for you to show me the evidence. Give me a link. Tell me where to go find the information that Oranje excludes people based on race. It doesn't exist. I'm not here to defend Oranje. I'm here to defend the truth. Simple as that. America doesn't exclude people based on race. 85% of the people that come to this country aren't even white. We naturalize 700,000 and 900,000 people every year. About 600,000 to 700,000 or more are not white. They come from the Philippines, from Yemen, from Nigeria, from South Africa, from Kyrgyzstan, from Tajikistan, from Bulgaria. They come from all over the world. Being American is not being white, not being Christian, but the country is founded on Judeo-Christian values. And that is what drives this country. And if you don't like that, then get out. Anyway, Biden's brain froze live on TV after too many scoops of ice cream. Well, that's not his fault. Ice cream is cold. Long live Trump, says Francois. All right, everybody else is bowing me. Cabela's cheering on too. All right, thanks everybody. It's 9:30 in South Africa. It's 3:30 here. I need to get something to eat. I'm getting lightheaded answering these questions. I'm just kidding. But it is time to take a break. Anyway, fascinating conversation. Thanks for the questions. And it's not a sadistic statement there, Isaac. It's a statement of fact. It's a false perception. It's not true. Thank you for the nice chat, Isaac. Thank you for subscribing. Y'all take care, and appreciate everybody being here. Congratulations to the Springboks. Tough break for Andre Esterhuizen. And I have one more rugby broadcast tonight. That'll be in 4 hours. That is the Houston SaberCats hosting Dallas Jackals in the semifinal Western Conference of Major League Rugby. Lots of South Africans playing for Houston. Feel free to tune in. South Africans going to be 1:30 in the morning, so you have to debate that. Dan Bailey's in from Wyoming. Good to see you there, Beth Frazier. We'll got all these people in America suddenly pop into the chat. And Erica, you're all welcome. Bye-bye, folks. Thanks. It's been fun. Thanks for the super chats. Thanks for the likes. Thanks for the comments. Really enjoyed the conversation. It was a Lekka conversation. People really brought some stuff around. And thanks, people, for listening. It was a lot of fun tonight. Cheers, and we'll catch you later. Bye-bye.